My grandfather used to tell me this story about a worm. It is an earthworm that lived in like a little plot of dirt, which is pretty normal for a worm. And he had most of what he needed. He lived a pretty simple life, as worms usually do. And in the plot of dirt, there were other worms. They mostly got along, but this worm was pretty clever, and he always dreamed of getting to this patch of grass. But between the plot of dirt and the patch of grass, there was this coarse sidewalk. And the other worms told him, like, there's no way you're going to that patch of grass. Like, that sidewalk is going to tear you apart. Don't even try it. But occasionally it would rain, and when it rained, the other worms rejoiced. They loved the way it felt to move around in the plot of dirt. When it rained, they just loved the rain. This worm noticed that the sidewalk would get wet, and he would test it out just like a little bit at a time, a couple little wriggles, and noticed that he could kind of like cross the sidewalk if it rained enough. So for many rains, he was like kind of testing it out and just experimenting. Finally, he decides, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to cross the sidewalk. I'm going to get to the grass. And this worm, for as long as he'd been alive, that sidewalk had been there. As long as his parents had been alive, that sidewalk had been there. Like, as far as the worms knew, that sidewalk had always been there. But the sidewalk was an artificial barrier. It was put there by somebody else without getting the worm's consent. But the worm, finally decides he's going to cross the sidewalk. And he gets about halfway across the sidewalk, and it stops raining, and the sun comes out. And the water drains quickly through the porous concrete. The worm withers, and his body dries against the pavement. And he's just stuck there halfway between the plot of dirt and the patch of grass. And if he had gotten to the patch of grass, he wouldn't have been taking anything from anybody. In fact, the grass would have grown greener. He would have loosened the dirt around the roots and brought oxygen to the grass that would have made it grow stronger. It would have been better for everybody, and he would have been happier. But the world wasn't built for worms. It wasn't built for grass. It was built for sidewalks and the people that walk on them. The worm was just an unnoticed casualty, whose only sin was being small and voiceless. And he was punished for daring to dream of a slightly better life. Anyways, my grandfather didn't tell me that story. He voted for Ronald Reagan. I just think it's funny how some people seem to hate poor people's guts and want them to eat dirt like a little worm.